Alright, so Stay 9 Daily number 621. We are learning to be a better gamer today. What a relief. Quel relèvement. We're going to do kind of a swift part 2 because I'm tired. In part 1 we saw this opening. Oh, I am an idiot. I closed the game. Why did I close the game? I opened up the other replay. What is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? You know what that means. It's time to do a high-speed recap. Alright, reopen the replay. So, at ×8 speed, here's the things we're gonna see. Open Reapers. Oh, yee. As you would say maybe if you were Amish. There's the barracks going down, and of course we get one Reaper. We could throw down a factory right now, but we wouldn't have enough money to expand. So we throw down the second Reaper for a little bit of map control because it's good against Lings and get that command center up. This Reaper is here to defend our Expo. Not going to go too far out onto the map, no need for it. Getting this mixture of Hellions and the Viking are giving us amazing control. This Viking's going to kill off so much. I was concerned when I saw these mines and marauders getting constructed. Oh no, these are defensive tools. How can we make them offensive? Easy. With medevacs popping out of this starport. And as we halt ourselves around the 11-minute mark, we see that this Viking has already cleared out nice paths for these drops, and this marauder-based aggression has been surprisingly potent. Alright, nice. So, what now? Still mines being made. Oh, actually, I guess this starport didn't switch over to this reactor. It just built its own reactor because, you know, we already have a medevac. Actually, we already have 2 medevacs out. And this is the moment where things, if you walked in and took a look at this game, you'd go, oh, Polt's doing that bio-mine style. We see the 4 barracks with reactors. We see the mines getting churned out. We see the Expo going down. We see the wall-offs going up. A very nice defensive setup here from Polt. I'm going to go back to the Polt cam. We have our valiant Viking still doing a very, very, very high amount of damage. Marauder drops still peskily picking off hatcheries that won't really be able to get thwarted until our mutilisks are out, which will generally not happen till 11 or 12 at the very least. So we can see why the timing of this drop, is, the utility of this medevac is so high, because you just can't stop it. He just needs the Lings sitting right underneath that. So Polt has a nice little defensive establishment. This might look like a little bit of overkill. However, big Ling, Baneling, all-ins are very common right now. Right around 12 minutes, 12, 13 or so. So the fact that Polt has this all set up, totally fine. He's waiting until he can begin to turn on the aggression. So here's where we will see, I'm going to call it Phase 3 of his attacking it. Phase 1, standard Hellion Reaper contain. Phase 2, Viking medevac-based aggression. The dropping with the mines and the marauders. The Viking to kill stuff off. Not dropping with Marines, because honestly we don't have that many. Dropping with the units that were going to be defensive for the early game, and now no longer really have a purpose. So that's second phase. And here's his third phase. After he gets a good amount of Marines out, and then he has the combat shield done. He has the stim done, maybe some upgrades done, but definitely medevacs. And look at this small force. This ain't a huge amount of dudes. I was talking about the around 13-minute mark in the Terran vs. Protoss daily from Tuesday. Here we have the Terran vs. Zerg, and yeah, barracks going down around 13 minutes. So these Marines that went out just to, oh gosh, I am totally not talking about map control, which is my favorite topic in the entire game. So Polt, if we go to the everyone cam, this small little troop of Marines and medevacs first moves out and seizes map control. That's the big thing that it seizes. So I want to take a look at the Jaedong cam. I want you just to note how this looks in contrast to every other Zerg player. No overlords on this side of the map. Actually, let me come this way. No overlords on this side of the map. No overlords on this side of the map. In fact, if a force was walking this way, it would just appear there. Jaedong is going to have a much higher probability of being out of position, thanks to these map control sweeps that have gone on early on. So that Viking drop, or not the Viking drop, the Viking attack has done just tremendous damage, just eaten into absolutely everything. So Polt, after clearing out his map control a little bit, after sort of, you know, surveying the landscape, we see, oh, some more barracks coming down. 6 medevacs. I want you to think about that. We built 2 medevacs, we got a reactor at starport, and we built just 4 more. Not a lot of usage out of the starport. The way that we can get the money to build these barracks so early is by hesitating a little bit more with medevacs. Oh, a second factory is even thrown down there as well. But here's what makes Polt's play very cool. He begins to shove very, very, very hard. To appreciate this, we're going to be switching viewports a lot. So we're right now in the Polt cam. Polt, remember that little force that went out and seized that watchtower? This huge force, what's the first thing it does? Seizes the watchtower. People talk about creep spread being important to eliminate and being important to have as Zerg. But gosh, look at this. Zerglings moving straight into darkness. These overlords have actually had to research speed in order to get all the way out here again. And we see Jaedong is actually able to sneak in here and do a little bit of damage. But is there any guarantee he was going to do that? He has no idea. He has to go into blackness, which is what makes this kind of a high variance play.
Our SCVs are under attack.
So Polt actually becomes quite patient in these circumstances. He's scanning to eliminate things. Essentially, he halts scanning, or he halts muling once he moves out with this force and needs spots to scan. So we have our good old classic biomine versus mutiling baneling. And the cool thing to notice is that Polt literally just rallies to the front in one location. An annoying Zergling finally gets fended off. But what's cool about this play from Polt is it does 2 things really awesomely. One, if you're Zerg, if you're Jaedong, you still don't exactly have a good control over this flank. So you have to at least account for some sort of attacks moving in there. Spore crawlers at the back. It also means that Polt will slowly get ahead in upgrades if Jaedong doesn't do a fast hive tech. This is the sort of ace in the hole if you're Polt. So this is actually a very long, slow unfolding play from Polt. He just waits a little bit, leads with some mines, and begins to push. Nothing extraordinarily complicated, just good control. But look at the minimap. The decision is very easy. There's really not a lot of complex decisions going on. What's another side effect of Polt shoving so hard with literally 100% of his stuff along one lane? It means that this expansion that wants to go down here, very easy to throw down. Jaedong has to keep nearly all of his units on this backside. So we're seeing Polt is not actually leading with all of his bio. He's just leading with a little bit. Small skirting forces forward. And then as things begin to roll over the mine, the Marines advance. I'll say that again because we'll see it a lot. There's a small leading force, and then as it pulls back, these dudes at the far back rush to join in. "12 Marines at a time" is quite good. So let's see, in action. We walk up with everything, we lead with the mines to get those into position, and then this small force shoves forward. It's not everything we have. It's very easy to want to bring absolutely everything into one huge group, but if we're going to be retreating back over the mines, we don't want to run the risk of having everything get one-shotted really hard. So, like, I want you to imagine if you're Zerg, if you're tearing against a Zerg, let's picture this. Zerg has 24 Banelings and wants to roll into some Marines. Well, we're not going to send some of our Banelings, right? We're going to send all the damn Banelings. And if we're against 12 Marines, we're still probably going to lose almost all of our Banelings. We're going to kill all the Marines, but we're definitely going to be losing nearly all of our Banelings. Now imagine if that Terran player suddenly brings in 36 Marines. StarCraft 2 happens so quickly that splitting 36 Marines is... or splitting 12 Marines is pretty much just as difficult as splitting 36 Marines. Rather than dealing more damage with bigger amounts of bio, you'll be spending so much of your time splitting it up that most of the Marines will die anyways. Actually, a better way to... a simpler way to put it is, you want 2 Banelings. Oh, actually, okay, here's how I'm going to put it. In my bio force, I can probably micro it to split it into 4 clumps. And then all your Banelings will die, and all my clumps will die. If my clumps have size 2, nice. If my 4 clumps have size 10 Marines, ugh. So we actually see Polt baiting out a lot of Banelings in each of these exchanges with this exact style. We'll begin counting them. And you'll even see players like Flash do this, where, you know, this is rallied here, but a lot of times players will just have a lot of Marines here and be leading with a small force. Nice. Slowly chipping his way up. See, look at that. Couple of Marinas. Gotta be careful. The Marine force has to be big enough to make huge dents into a Mutaforce. If you send like 3 forward, the Mutas will just pick them off easily. So we haven't seen any big roll-in of Banelings in a while. We're gonna see that soon. Soon, TM. Okay, so here, this is 8 Banelings, right? Kind of unusual, actually, for those not to have died off, but 8 Marines versus 8 Banelings. We lost 5 Marines for 5 Banelings. So far, so good. While all this was going on, Jaedong, who was on the verge of losing all his stuff. Oh wait, yeah, look at that. CM Storm's Polt got himself up another expansion. And we talked a little bit about we're applying this pressure to help us guarantee getting ahead in upgrades. Jaedong, who's been playing really damn well, has just started 3-3. Our 3-0 is almost done. And this is when we'll see Polt really take a big lead. So here we go. Nice scan to see what's up with the Banelings. Trying to pre-split up the Marines, that's fine. Leaving a lot of Marines at the back. I guess we didn't actually get to see too much information about the Banelings. We didn't see anything contrary to that, but Polt is just being very simple with his aggression. Not microing against Mutalisk is actually kind of strong because you kill Mutalisk so easily. No new structures, just the 7 barracks. Or excuse me, 8 barracks. I can't count. Oh yeah, because it was 5 plus 3. Holy crap, I'm bad at math. And the 2 factories. Nothing else different in the slightest. There's the GG. So what I want to do is I want to take a look at a different game. Completely different game. This is on the Neo Planet S. Oh, Jaedong is in Gold League. How embarrassing. We're going to see the same structure come out. And then we'll step away to part 3, where we'll be watching a different opening with still the same ideas. Here it's the same opening. We're just going to begin to see it in a little bit of different contexts. The big things I want you to be aware of in this. How we see these same units that will be set up for defense, and then when nothing happens, will therefore be used for offense. The second thing is I want you to see how Polt is very adamant about seizing map control. Searching, scouting for information. This guy stays home. Chills outside the front. There's no watchtower, that's fine. We'll just get map control. We're not going to push it. We're just going to chill. Hellions popping out. Starport, followed by a second gas geyser. Now that we have the Hellions out, we can have the Reapers join one another. Stoink. And then we see this good old Viking doing his thing. A little bit late on that tech lab, just as we saw in the last game, because he just doesn't quite have the gas to even get stim much earlier. It's a very meticulously thought out build. Very, very cool. We're starting to see Marauders getting blindly built, just in case of those roach attacks, which Polt is getting increasingly suspicious about. Remember how he said, look at map control? You can actually see it much easier on the minimap cam. You see how you see this little dip right like that into the fog of war, and up here you see just a little dip into that fog of war. He's checking for thirds. He sees no thirds, so great. Must be either fast layer or an all-in. So of course he's walling off his front. He's getting more Marauders. He's soon enough going to be building more mines. There's one. One is still more than 0. I'm not lying. Very, very low on gas at this stage in the game, when most players would not even really be thinking very much about it. Tries to just get some information, and gets to see a good setup. Okay, so now we're going to have the same follow-up as we saw before. Command Center gets thrown down. We'll see 2 engineering bays thrown down. Actually, where's Mr. Viking? Oh, we have Mr. Viking. He's already out on the map. Hello, Mr. Viking. He's already scouting and killing all that he can. And we actually see that there are some serious Overlord vulnerabilities for Jaedong, who's already lost 1 up here and 1 down here. Again, nice surround by Jaedong. Makes it look terrible. Double engineering bay, quadruple barracks incoming. Generally you see players go pair, and then pair. Because he's a pair bear. Killing off more. Killing him softly, the overlords. Okay, so cool, that Marauder drop. We talked about that Marauder drop. That was, in theory, going to be good for denying those expos. Well, hey, I see one. Uh-oh, it's Mutalisks. Well, nice. This Marauder drop that was originally used to snipe Queens in the last game has kept our opponent back with his Mutalisks. Ever been surprised by Mutalisks and lost? Well, here there's no surprise. Look, these were just begun. Missile turret just begun. Already having mines sort of peppered about the map. So, you know, traditionally speaking, Polt is what we would call boned. He doesn't have map control. He's lost a lot of his key units. Jaedong has the supply lead. Mines are pretty good. He's losing some mines. Uh-oh. Have no fear. For Polt is just going to play calmly and intelligently. Upgrades coming up along. Rallying to the natural expansion. 32 workers. Way too many, but that's fine because he wants the fastest transfer to the 3rd base that he possibly can. And down it goes. What is Polt's play? Well, first and foremost, doing the conservative things, walling off. Not really moving out and around on the map. Phase 1 was that basic Hellion Reaper aggression. Phase 2 was the Viking plus drops aggression. And here's where we're going to see Phase 3 of just some aggression from Polt, moving out with some small Marine troops. Now, he can't quite do a big attack because he's not feeling safe, but look at the way that he's still trying to snatch up a little map control. Moving Marines out onto the map, moving some mines out onto the map. Has a small force advancing forward. Look at the way he's sort of gobbling up at least a little bit of vision in this branch here. Just trying to make sure that he can see what's up here. So now he knows the Mutalisks can basically only be in this area. You found him. Got him. No real attacks yet. Medevac still being produced. Right around 13 minutes, adding on 3 more barracks. He's understandably delayed. He's been under depression. Cool. Remember how we said that we don't really think there's Mutalisks up along here? This is a really key control point to just know. So great. If this area is safe, I'm going to attack along this area. There's no way that there can be units here that will suddenly just pop in and surprise me. If Mutalisks do pop here, I have plenty of time to run this force back. This is why map control and vision is so critical. Permits us to attack. These baneling attacks were damn good. So we see a sort of interesting set of maneuvers from Polt. First, he notices that there's no Zerglings here. Zerglings are generally the big sign that this force needs to pull back pretty hard, including the mines. But if we see just Mutalisks there, we just send in our next rally of units. And we see that this small force from Polt is actually able to move forward pretty easily. And now that we see the Mutalisks there, it's a pretty easy decision to take these troops and send them back to this front line. So this baneling drop was horrible. This was as horrible as could have been the case. How many units lost? We have 34. That's really bad. It's really just a terrible tragedy. But with this shoving happening constantly, Jaedong's Mutalisks will soon enough be pinned back here, and they'll have to continue to deal with this force. We're going to see how Polt moves these forces forward, nice and slowly, to try to avoid getting picked off by banelings, or, you know, those baneling landmines, which are horrific. But to note, we see that these are towards, this is just a nice close place. This is like the closest place to be pushing. It kindly defends our third, but the biggest thing is that it's really close for us. So we're talking a little bit about what a big advantage is of doing non-stop aggression in one location. It's going to force Jaedong to spend a lot of gas, particularly on banelings, to continually hold these forces off. But with that expenditure on gas, with those banelings, we see that Zergs almost never have an ability to stay ahead in the upgrades. So what we see out of Polt is that he's slowly clamoring towards 3-3 to beat his opponent in better upgrades. I mean, these baneling landmines have been just sickening. No drops, no nothing, no complication. There's really no need to. In every single game in this entire series, Polt just pushed towards the closest spot. We'll watch one more brief game in part 3. We're just going to wrap this one up. Look at the little tiny marine forces when there's a lot that's still left behind. Also, what's nice about leaving some behind is that as this group is retreating, these mines have these back marines to protect them. I'm just going to be speeding things up. This is the big reason that Zerg players need infestors. It's because they will be behind in upgrades in this period. And it's kind of funny because it doesn't really look like there's anything different going on, but Polt is actively trying to force more banelings in this period of time. And then when 3-3 is done, boom! 3-3. So we see these forces. Polt actually... Oh, does he have these hotkey differently? Yeah, look at that. Here's the front force that I was talking oh so much about. We actually see it represented with the 1 hotkey. And then the 2 hotkey is his backside set. And then Polt wins a game that no one thought he was going to win, including me, and a lot of people were disappointed. But what we saw again is this very clever opening and a very straightforward late game. Push to wherever is closest. We're seeing why this is big. Even when Polt moves himself a little bit out of the way, he opens up his front to this huge assault that's very, very scary. Barely has enough to defend it, though. And I will just tell you that Polt wins in a few seconds. So that way I can exhaustively go into the final part. God, wow, this daily, what a bore. We saw the opening that we discussed in part 1 come out again. In part 3, which will be a very, very swift part 3. I promise you, I'm just so tired. In part 3, we're going to look at a completely different opening with the same thematic elements that makes Polt's TvZ so great. Stay tuned.